And today we will be discussing about the Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojna, and this lecture is based on a recent study conducted by the Ministry of Rural Development. So Ministry of Rural Development has conducted a recent study in order to assess the performance of Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojna, which is the model village scheme. So we will be first discussing about what is Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojna. We will see what are the objectives of the scheme, how the implementation is done, what is the role of the MPs, members of parliament, etc. Then we will come to the study recently conducted by the Ministry of Rural Development. We will see what are the observations made under the study, what are the important findings, and we will also see what are the recommendations given after the study. So these are the topics that we will be discussing today. So basically it is an analytical lecture. We will be analyzing the performance of Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojna. So let's begin the lecture. Let's start with the current affair. As I said in the introduction, recently a study was conducted by the Ministry of Rural Development. So Ministry of Rural Development conducted this study in order to observe the progress or the assessment, in order to make an assessment of the Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojna. And under the study, the Ministry of Rural Development observed that this particular scheme, that is a Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojna, has not been able to achieve the desired objectives and failed to make a significant impact. So the objectives were not met, at the same time also it could not make a significant impact. We will see what were the objectives and also we will see what are the findings. And the study was conducted as a part of 5th Common Review Mission, that is a CRM, Common Review Mission for independent assessment of the progress of various programs and schemes of the Rural Ministry. So this study for the assessment of this Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojna, it was conducted as a part of the 5th Common Review Mission, CRM, for independent assessment of programs and schemes of the Rural Development Ministry. In order to assess the development of the programs undertaken by Rural Development Ministry, this study was conducted. The study was conducted by a team comprising of retired bureaucrats, academics and research organizations. So this was the composition of the team. Composition of team which conducted this study. The team visited around 120 villages in 21 districts across 8 states. So 120 villages from 21 districts spread over 8 states to make the study more inclusive. Now let's come to Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojna. We will see what is this scheme all about, what are the objectives of the scheme, etc. So Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojna, it's a village development project. It's a very important scheme from your UPSC perspective. So it's a village development project and it was launched in the year 2014, 11th of October, on the birth anniversary of Jayaprakash Narayan. So basically this is a village development project, and that is why the Ministry of Rural Development, this comes under the Ministry of Rural Development. So village development project, and under this Yojana the members of parliament. So here the key term is that the members of parliament are responsible for developing the socio-economic and physical infrastructure of villages. So the target was that by the year 2019, 3 villages should be developed as model villages. Now, how can we call a particular village as a model village? Model village in terms of socio-economic and physical infrastructure, and a total of 8 villages by the year 2024. So this is the target. So here we will see that the members of the parliament, the MPs, are responsible. So MPs are responsible for development of villages, and we will see which villages and all that. So they are responsible for the development of the model villages based on socio-economic and physical infrastructure. Now coming to the objectives. The first objective is to substantially improve the standard of living and quality of life of all sections of population through improved basic amenities, higher productivity and better livelihood opportunities. So here we will see standard of living. Standard of living is based on 2 things. One is quality of life, which is based on certain availability of certain infrastructure. Second one is income. So if a person or if a particular group of people has enough income to meet their necessities, as well as they have enough opportunities to live a dignified life, that is, the quality of life is high, then we can say that there is standard of living. So this is based on availability of basic infrastructure, and second one, income, or what we call as livelihood opportunities. So first objective was to improve the standard of living by providing better quality of life or basic amenities and livelihood options, or what we call as income. Second one is to generate models of local level development. So we have seen that the entire purpose of the Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojna is to develop model villages. So this model villages are models of local level development. Villages are basic unit or basic structural units. So model level development to generate models of local level development and effective local governance, which can motivate and inspire neighboring Gram Panchayats to learn and adopt. So development of model local level development. Third one, to nurture the identified Adarsh Grams as schools of local development to train other Gram Panchayats. So the MPs at the initial stage till 2019, this was launched in 2014. So over a period of 5 years, the MPs will be responsible for development of 3 villages. Now later, that is by 2024, 8 villages will be converted or developed into model villages. Now this will also help the other adjoining Gram Panchayats to adopt the model of model villages or Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojna, and then implement the same development model, local level development model, in those Gram Panchayats or local institutions as well. Now let's come to the process. The Gram Panchayat will act as the basic unit for development. So Gram Panchayat, which is the lowermost level, or we can say the grassroots level. So this will act as the basic unit for development, and the Lok Sabha MP, in case of Lok Sabha MP, Lok Sabha MP chooses a Gram Panchayat from his or her own constituency. So here we are discussing how the villages are selected by the MPs. So in case of Lok Sabha MPs represent a particular constituency. So you know that the elections take place within a constituency and they represent a particular constituency. So they have to select a village within their constituency. And when it comes to Rajya Sabha MP, members of parliament who are elected to the Rajya Sabha, they does not represent a particular constituency, but rather they represent a state. So in the federal structure, the Rajya Sabha MPs represent a state. Therefore, the Rajya Sabha MPs can choose a Gram Panchayat from the rural area of a district of his or her choice in the state from which he or she is elected. So Rajya Sabha MP can choose any village from any district in that particular state from which the MP is chosen. Now in case of nominated MPs, they do not represent either the state or a constituency. They are nominated by the President of India. So in case of nominated MPs, they choose a Gram Panchayat from the rural area of any district in the country. So they can select any village or any rural area from any district in the country. So they do not have a restriction. And the MPs engage with the community, they facilitate village development plan and mobilize the necessary resources, particularly from CSR, that is a corporate social responsibility, and other philanthropies. So how is the implementation done? The MPs, they engage with community, they facilitate the village development plan, and they also mobilize the necessary resources, especially from CSR fundings as well as from philanthropies. And MPs, the members of parliament, also fill up critical gaps in the plan using the MP Lots fund. We know the MPs, they get the MP Lots fund, they get 5 crore rupees. So the MP Lots fund can also be used in order to fill the gaps, critical gaps. So this is how they mobilize the funds. Now, what is an Adarsh village or Adarsh Gram or a model village? So, a model village is one which has adequate physical and institutional infrastructure. physical infrastructure as well as institutional infrastructure, in which minimum needs of all sections of the society are fully met so that they can live in harmony with each other. So model village means a village which has adequate physical and institutional infrastructure, and the minimum needs of all the sections of those who live in the village are met. This is a Adarsh village or Adarsh Gram or a model village. Now let's come to the findings. Now in the first part of this lecture we have seen what is Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojna. Now we will come to the current affair of it, that what are the findings of the study recently conducted by the Ministry of Rural Development. First one, low selection of panchayats. Since the launch was in 2014, we have seen that this was launched in the month of October 2014. So since the launch of the scheme, only 1855 gram panchayats have been selected across 5 phases, and with only 7 gram panchayats selected in the phase 5. So we know each MPs has to make a village, a model village by the year 2019. So by 2019, 3 villages has to be converted or developed into a model village. So if we look into 3 into the number of MPs, then we will see that the number 1855 is very less. So low selection of panchayats is one of the issues that was found out in the study. Second one, the MPs show lack of interest and also there are lack of funds. Now regarding interest, so the MPs, the members of the parliaments, are responsible for implementing this yojana. So if they do not take an initiative, if they do not show an interest, then definitely the scheme will not become a success. Second one, regarding funds, we have seen that the funding also has to come from the MPs. So it can be from CSR initiatives or from philanthropic institutions or individuals. The MPs can engage and collect the funds, or in order to fill the gaps they can also use their MP large fund, which is the Members of Parliament Local Area Development Fund. Now in many villages the MPs did not give any significant fund from the MP large. MP large is Members of Parliament Local Area Development Scheme Fund. So they did not give any amount or did not give a significant amount from the MP large fund, which led to the shortage of funds for the implementation of this scheme. Now third one is lack of political will. Because of the lack of political will and lack of accountability, the concept did not percolate into field officials, and even the villages which declared as Adarsh Grams in some districts were found yet to be declared open defecation free. So here we will see that there are certain issues with the declaration. So certain villages are declared as Adarsh Grams. We have seen what is the definition of Adarsh Grams. So Adarsh Grams means villages with minimum physical and socio-economic infrastructure. So even without becoming ODF or open defecation free, how we can say that the village has become a Adarsh Gram or a model village? So there were also some issues with declaration. Now next one is that in certain villages it was observed that the scheme did not make any significant impact on the village or on the life or socio-economic and physical infrastructure or the well-being of those villagers. Again, there was also low convergence of MGNREGA Manrega with that of MP LAD. Manrega is Mahatma Gandhi Rural Employment Guarantee Act. So low convergence with that of Manrega with MP LAD. So that was also another observation. Again, with regard to rural roads, which is a part of physical infrastructure. So better rural roads means better physical infrastructure. So study has also expressed some concern over the quality of the roads constructed under the schemes and also the maintenance of rural roads under the central Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. So with regard to quality of the roads and also regarding the maintenance of the roads. Now coming to the positive impact, this is a very important finding. The progress of work was better in Gram Panchayats where the MP has taken keen interest and allocated substantial amounts of MP LAD. So this is a very important finding. So there are certain villages where the Adarsh Gram Yojna, Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojna has become successful. The model village scheme has become successful. And in those villages where the scheme was successful, there were two key factors which were responsible for the success of the scheme. One was the interest by the MP. So, the interest shown by the member of the parliament, and second one was the substantial fundings from the MP lot scheme. So these were the two key factors we can say, which were responsible for the success of the scheme. So from this we can conclude that it is completely or entirely dependent upon the MPs or the members of the parliament to make this scheme successful or not. First of all, they have to show an interest. Second one, they also have to keep away some funds, some substantial funds from their MP lots for the development of this scheme or development of the model villages. So the role of MPs is very important. Now in your mains examination, how you can get the questions from this? Maybe you can get a question like critically analyze the role of the members of parliament in the implementation of the Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojna. So here you can talk about the responsibility and how the scheme is implemented and how an MP is responsible for the implementation of the scheme. Also you can mention that according to a study conducted by Ministry of Rural Development, it was found that the scheme was successful in those villages or gram panchayats where the members of the parliament has shown a keen interest and also substantially allocated a funding from the MP lots fund, whereas in those places, in those villages where the MPs did not show a political will and did not allocate a substantial amount from the MP lots fund, the scheme has seen to be unsuccessful. So you can mention that. So this is how you will get questions in your mains examination. And finally, coming to the recommendations given by the group which conducted the study. So this report has recommended that the Ministry of Rural Development may review the scheme for enhancing its impact. So reviewing the scheme, that is changing some of its provisions or making some amendments and changes for better implementation. Secondly, it also urged the central government to frame a national rural road policy. So the report, it has recommended to the central government to frame a national rural road policy in order to ensure uniform norms of construction and maintenance irrespective of whether the road belongs to a state scheme or to Gram Sadak Yojana. So, common national rural road policy. This will help in ensuring uniform norms or uniform guidelines for the construction and maintenance of the roads so that the quality of the roads can be ensured. According to the report, in many places, in many rural areas, the quality and the maintenance of the rural roads are very poor. The central government should also examine if the Finance Commission can provide funds for maintenance of rural roads, as many states have requested that the centre should share the cost of maintenance. So, many state governments have asked the central government to share the cost of maintenance of the roads. So, the central government can also see if the Finance Commission can provide certain funds for the maintenance of rural roads. So these are the important recommendations given by the committee. Again, the recommendations are very, very important.